Afternoon, guys. Welcome to the sleep Q&A. I'm here for half an hour. My name's Carla. I am a paediatric sleep consultant. My company's called Snooze Tots. I'm here for the next half an hour or so to answer all your questions about your little one's sleep. So just type away and I'll try and get through as many as I can in the next half an hour. So this could be about your baby or your toddler's sleep, and we'll try and answer them as best as possible. Okay, here's the first one. Hello from Laura. My 7-year-old is finding it hard to go to sleep. I need to know a little bit more detail about what's going on. Is she just fighting sleep? What time is she going to bed? Is it too late? Too early? Is she sleeping on her own? Okay, so she gets upset. So what I would try and do is first of all finding, well, what is the root cause of why she's getting upset? Is she scared of something? And try and address that. And what you could do is kind of just stay in the room for a few nights just to get her used to just going to sleep by herself. Just stay by the side of her bed, and then just gradually move yourself further and further out the room once you kind of see that she's settling better. Yeah, you say since lockdown, it's just a crazy word. I think it's kind of like talking, and it's more about kind of talking to her, addressing what the issue is, reassuring her. So yeah, I would try just doing something where you stay in the room and just gradually move yourself every few nights just further and further away, so until you're at the door, and then just leave and see if she's okay with that. Make sure she's got something cuddly with her to come comfort her. Lockdown's done some weird, crazy things. So yeah, just reassurance as much as possible. Laura. When you say about scared of monsters, so what I would do is you can try doing something. If it's a case of that she's scared of monsters, you could try getting like some spray bottle with just water in it, and call it like the monster spray, that you've just spraying it all away and it's all gone. If you want to try doing something like that, if not already tried that. And when you say that she comes downstairs loads, what I would do is just minimal interaction. Just take her back to her bed really calmly. Don't no, not much interaction. Just put her back in her bed, and then just keep repeating that. It's just going to take a little bit of persistence. So that's why when you say she misses you and wants to be with you, yeah, just do something where you stay in the room and just gradually move yourself out over the week. Next question. I feel like giving up with my almost 9-month-old sleeping. We've always held her to sleep. She has reflux, so it just became a habit to hold her after a feed. Then moved her to the cot. She would more likely than not wake straight up, and we would have to hold her again for another half an hour and try put again. We've tried putting her down drowsy, but it doesn't work. White noise does nothing either. Also have one of our tops in the cot before she goes in. We hold her for naps too. I want to get this sorted before I go back to work in a couple of months, and my mother-in-law looks after her 2 days a week. Will it just click one day for her, or should we resort to sleep training? So when you say should we resort to sleep training, so 9 months old, you can use some methods that are really gentle. Of you stay, as I said just previously, you can stay in the room. When I think a lot of people think sleep training, I've got to just leave them cry out. You don't have to do that. Just give her the reassurance when she's upset in her cot, and try, if you can, do your best to keep her in the cot, giving her the reassurance from the side of the cot, and then just slowly move yourself away from her, of her cot towards the door, just called gradual retreat, until she's got the hang of it. It will take persistence. It's probably not going to be a quick overnight thing, but if you can give her the reassurance, and she'll just get this. It's a learning thing. She's been used to you holding her, right? So if you're going to have to change that up, she's probably going to protest a little bit. So you have to kind of want to make the change and persist. And it's not, as I said, it might not be overnight, but you can really work on it by just putting her down, reassure her at the side of the cot, and just gradually move yourself further and further away. So you can just, when she's upset, just give her the comfort, the rubbing of the back, stroking her hair, whatever she likes when she's crying, and then just sit back when she's not, and just move yourself further and further away till she gets used to it. But also just make sure her naps in the day as well are good. So you're looking roughly about 2 naps as well. Roughly about, in terms of Wake time about 3 hours, 3.5 hours. Every little one's different. Around that between sleep. About 3 hours sleep in the day as well, maximum, between the two naps as well. Next question. I think my 3-month baby girl may be approaching the 4-month sleep regression. She won't nap during the day, making her overtired at night. And when we do get her down at night, she'll sleep for about 40 minutes before waking. And it can be up to another hour after that before she'll settle again. Do you have any tips to help my baby nap through the day, and also any advice on how they get through the 4-month regression and get to a place where she will settle again? Okay, so with the 4-month regression, it's really a developmental change in their sleep. So they've gone from just having 2 stages of sleep to 4 stages of sleep. And I mean, it's a good thing that they're developing and their sleep's maturing. So when they go through this, what used to work will probably not really work so well anymore. So we kind of need to start teaching them to put themselves to sleep as much as you can. And that is where you can kind of just gently start teaching them to fall asleep in their own sleep space. That does not mean just leaving them to cry. That can be just using really gentle methods where you stay in, as I said, in the room, and you settle her from the side of the cot to try and get her used to falling asleep on her own. Also make sure that her sleep in the day is good, because you mentioned here, as you said, you think she's overtired at night, because that overtiredness is what's the cortisol, the stress hormone, is being released when she goes to bed, and it just means that she's going to more likely wake up after a sleep cycle. So things that you need to try and do, start using a really gentle approach if you want to, if you're more comfortable with that, to start kind of putting herself down awake and putting herself to sleep. And in terms of naps in the day, if she's going to be having 3 to 4 naps. Every little one, as I said, is slightly different, but about 3 to 4 naps in the day, aiming for about 4 hours sleep across those the naps. Wake time of 1.5 to 2 hours between sleep. So watch her sleep cues and get her down at the right time. That will also help with the quality of naps. And teaching her to fall asleep on her own for these naps will mean that she'll kind of move between sleep cycles, and that's how they'll start lengthening. It takes practice. It's not an overnight thing. Make sure the room's nice and dark as well. Use white noise if you want. But making the room dark also will help lots, and having a little wind down routine before the nap as well will also help. Angela, what about kids who stay overnight with other parents and won't sleep? Is she missing me too much? We've been separated since August and she's 15 months old. So what I would do is, Angela, is perhaps if you give her something that's got a kind of like a smell of yours, like a scent of yours, so whether you wear it, so if she has a comforter is a really nice thing for her to have, and maybe just wear it down your top, just so that it's got your smell on it before you give it to her. Just so that she has that reassurance. Also make sure as much as you can that your that her partner, her dad, is doing a similar routine. Just because if that's I know it's difficult in these situations, but if you can kind of have a similar routine, she'll know what to expect, and if it's the sort of same bedtime routine, etc., she'll kind of be reassured by that as well. My 11-month-old fell out of routine 3 weeks ago, possibly growth spurt or going back to work. My childcare is a family member, and little one falls asleep during this journey. It's a 1-hour drive each way, which upsets bedtime routine. So to aid this, I now leave later so I can move sleeping baby from car to cot. However, our main issue is for the last few nights, baby will sleep for an hour, stand in the cot crying until taken out, only go back to sleep for us in our bed. The moment we move baby back to cot, Liz one instantly rolls over and cries, screams until night. Cries or screams until held. Last night I put baby back in cot 3 times, instantly rolled over and started crying. Please can you give us some suggestions on settling baby in cot, as we prefer to have our own bed and a peaceful night. So it sounds like it's also I don't know the schedule, but because you're saying that she's falling asleep in the car, it sounds like is she having like a late nap in the day. which will probably cause the night disturbances. So I'd need to know more about what her schedule's looking like. It's a tricky one when you're trying to juggle childcare at home and everything. Um, so in terms of, yeah, it will be a case of trying to keep her away. If it is that you're doing a late nap in the car, try and keep her awake as much as possible during that journey, to stop then that late nap before bed. And then in terms of what you should do, she'll sleep for an hour and then stand in the cot crying until taken out. Try and settle her from the side of the cot so that she learns that she's got to put herself back to sleep. So, as I said, go in the room. I've said this previously, go in the room, use a really hands-on approach, like give her when she's crying the comfort, but then take your hand away when she's not crying, and sit back and just gradually move yourself out of the room so she learns that even if she does wake, she needs to put herself back to sleep, and that'll take time and persistence. But that's probably the best approach. Also, at this age, quite a nice thing to do is give her a comforter, so if she does wake up after the hour, then she might just grab that and get comfort from that instead of you expecting that you're got to come in and take her to bed. But I imagine this is to do with a scheduling issue as well. So around the 11 months, you're looking maximum day sleep of around 2.5 hours. Wake times around 3.5, 4 hours between sleep. Usually that wake time before bed is longer as well. So just make sure that her schedule, as much as you can, I understand it's difficult with the car journey, is kind of working for her. Paige, my baby is 8 weeks and I find it really hard to get her to nap in the day. She just fights it, then gets overtired and will cry when she does sleep. It will be for about 10 minutes and then she will wake and cry again. Okay, so Paige, newborn sleep is it will get better and better. So at 8 weeks, I'd say, are you getting? First thing I'd ask you, are you getting her to nap at the right time? So are you catching her when she's not overtired? So roughly you're looking at wake time of around, I'd say maximum an hour 15 between sleep. So that means when she wakes from her nap, the next nap should be about an hour 15. If you go over that, often you'll find that she'll be overtired and she's going to fight sleep and she's going to take the short naps. The other thing to do is around 6 to 7 weeks, they start producing melatonin, that sleepy hormone. And sleepy hormone, that melatonin rises in the dark. So you want to if you can put her down in the dark room, that could be in your lounge, just put the blinds down, the curtains, so she's nearby you, because you always want to keep your baby nearby at that young age. And yeah, put white noise on, and you can look up an approach called try settling her in the cot. So try using, so she falls asleep in her own sleep space. So, and that might get her naps a bit longer. So try something called Shush Pat. Look up that approach. I do a newborn course with Let's Talk Birth and Baby. It's a workshop, and I go through different settling techniques and kind of setting up good foundations at such a young age. It's not about sleep training at this age. It's just kind of helping them kind of build a really good foundation, getting good quality sleep. In terms of how many naps you should be looking at, aiming in terms of maximum day sleep about 5 hours at this age, around that mark. Some have higher sleep needs than others. 4+ nap, around 5 naps as well across the day as well, all split out as well. So hopefully that helps. And if you need to do them in the sling, if you need to do it in the pram at this age, it's not, and they go for it. Just get them the quality sleep in the day so that they sleep better at night. So next one, Tracy. I have a 2-year-old who's become very clingy. He wakes in the night and shouts and cries to get into our bed, but he shares with his 4-year-old brother, which I don't want him to wake up. When he's in our bed, he fidgets so much that he nearly dives off the bed and I don't get much sleep. Sometimes the 4-year-old wakes and gets in with us too. So it's a busy bed at night. So Tracy, first of all, is he having a nap still in the day? So I would also look at that. Do you need to kind of shorten the amount of sleep he's having in the day? So I'd need to know a little bit more about his schedule. Nap should be around the 12th. If he's still having a nap, which is very common at 2 years old, Just make sure it's not too long, around the 12:30 mark, so that then in the afternoon there's a long enough stretch till bedtime. So aim for around a 7:30 bedtime. When it's really difficult because you've obviously got the other child in the room with him. So what I would try, it's one of these things is, whilst you're getting, you could try and sort out his the 2-year-old sleep. If you get the 4-year-old brother in, is there anywhere else that he could sleep whilst you're kind of sorting this out, his sleep? So what I would try and do is use a gradual retreat approach with your 2-year-old. So if he does wake up in the night, you're not taking him out of his cot, or if he's in a bed, and try and settle him from his sleep space so that he gets used to the fact that he's not going to be coming into your bed. If he's in a bed and he's coming into your room, then just silently return and use that approach until he goes back to sleep. It takes just a little bit of consistency and encouragement to get him back on track. They go through little spells of things. So like you said, he's 2 years old, he's become very clingy. So that's by using something where you stay in the room, should reassure him a little bit, but needs to learn that actually he needs to stay in his bed. Joe, my just turned 2-year-old, keeps waking at 5 a.m. We leave him to it for a bit, but he shares a room with his brother and wakes him up as it's at age. Is it at age phase or nap time? Goes to bed around 6:30. What time is he having his nap, Joe? 6:30. It might be. I need to know a little bit more detail. It might be a little bit too early for him. 6:30. You might want to look at doing more 7:15, and you can do that gradually. Get up to that, and that might actually help. Also, you've got the clocks changing, coming. Their clocks are moving going forward. I think the 28th of March, so that should help too for you. So a 5 o'clock wake up is going to be a 6 o'clock wake up, so that might help a little bit. But yeah, it might just be actually your naps. How long is he have? Is he having too much sleep in the day, and then having a 6:30 bed means that he's kind of maxed out by 5 o'clock, and he's like, I'm ready to go. Oh, thank you, Laura, for putting the newborn link up there. That's the newborn one, and then that's the 4 to 18 month one as well. We talk about settling approaches, settling routine for each age, etc., etc. So come and join if you fancy. Dawn, my little girl still doesn't settle without a cuddle or feed to sleep. What can we do? She's 8 months. So that 4 to 18 month course would be perfect for you. It's about teaching her. So because she's used to just being cuddled or feed to sleep, which is perfectly fine if it's working for you, but if it's kind of not working for you, then it's kind of teaching her a new way to fall asleep ultimately. So it's using an approach that you're comfortable with, and finding something that you're going to stick to, and teaching her how to fall asleep on her own, really. I can't go through step by step exactly what you could do, but there's loads of different methods. That, as I said, that gradual retreat if you want to stay in the room. There's kind of going on checks and returning at intervals if you're more comfortable doing that. It's also about making sure that her routine is correct for her age. So 8 months, you're looking at about wake time of around 3 hours, total day sleep of around 3 hours as well. And just making sure she could be on 2 to 3 naps at this age as well. So just making sure her day's right, teaching her to fall asleep on her own, making sure bedtime's not too late, so around a 7 o'clock bedtime. But yeah, if you want more help in that, then there's that workshop there, this link above, Dawn. And I kind of go into detail about each kind of settling approach that you might want to use. Our 7-day-old newborn doesn't like her swaddles, nor does she like sleeping with blankets. Does anyone else have any other suggestion for where she's in her cot? Should I try the sleep bags? I think she likes her arms free. Yeah, you could get sleeping bags. Sleeping bags are absolutely fine. You can get ones for newborns. Just make sure though that the neck, it's safe, that it fits correctly, that it couldn't travel over her head. So you don't want it too big around the neck, so it fits nicely. But yeah, absolutely fine. If you don't want to use the swaddle and you don't want to use the blanket, then use a sleeping bag. Okay, so Tracy, you said no nap. Let me just go back to the thing. I have a 2-year-old who's been... Okay, So, what time are you putting him to bed if he's having no nap at 2 years old? You just kind of want to make sure that he's not going to bed too late. If he's because 2 is quite young to be him saying no nap. So do if he's not having a nap anymore around the 6:30 mark. Um, it sounds like he's probably, when did he drop his nap? He goes to bed at 6ish, and we've just got to the point where we can leave him to go to sleep, and then it's the waking up. So it might be that, when did you drop the nap? Because if you've just dropped it, it might just be a case of overtiredness. Did you drop it because he was resisting it? If he wasn't resisting it, you might be better having the nap there. Um, I'd need to know a little bit more detail and to kind of give you a fuller answer. Between 12 to 1:30, his nap. What was your question here? Okay, so that's quite a good time, between 12 to 1:30. He's having his nap, and then he is getting. Sorry, we're just scrolling. I just keep squeaking at 5. We leave him to it for a bit, but he should. So they can go through phases, but if he's having 1:30, you probably. If it was me personally, I'd be waiting for the clock change. And if it's just a phase, it could just happen a couple of weeks. You're doing the right thing by leaving him to it as much as you can. You can try, so you're putting him down for time. Joe, what time did you say? Around 6:30. Does he seem tired at 6:30? So does he show signs of tiredness? Does he fall asleep quickly? You might just want to try pushing by 15 minutes to seeing if you need to do a little bit of the later bedtime, closer to the 7 o'clock mark. Oh, okay, so he hasn't napped for over a year. Okay, so then I wouldn't introduce a nap again. Okay, so if his body's used to it, then you might want to push his nap. If he's going to bed at 6, you might just want to try pushing his bedtime a little bit later. Um, and when you say he has to feel my neck skin, so because that's what he's used to, you kind of need to change up what you do with him. So try and reassure him from the cot. You can just rub his back, etc., etc., but just take your hand away if he's not crying, and just slowly leave the room. Um, as you said, we can get to go to we can leave him. It's the waking up. So repeat the exact same thing as you do at bedtime when he does wake up. So he kind of just learns that that's all that you're going to be doing. Um, my 2.5-year-old has just dropped nap as she was resisting it. I'm really groggy afterwards at nursery. She goes to bed at 7. Is this a problem? Is it a problem? Is she waking up in the night? If she's not waking up in the night, or she's not waking early, then that's not a problem. Um, it's 2.5 is 2.5, 3 years old. Often I see them drop their naps altogether. Um, if they're resisting it as well, that's absolutely fine. But you say, is it a problem? It's only a problem if she's not sleeping well. So I'd need to know if she's not sleeping well. If it is that she's not, oh, there you go, Karma. She wakes up 2 to 3 times a night. I would, if she's just dropped the nap, I'd may actually make bedtime a little bit earlier. So when you just drop the nap, you want to. It's a real adjustment to their body. So you want to make bedtime earlier. So make it around the 6:50, 6:30 mark. Um, and that should hope, and then as her body gets used to it, then you slowly move to the more closer to the 7 o'clock mark. So do 15-minute increments every 3 days. But that sounds like she's probably overtired, if she's waking 2 to 3 nights and she wasn't doing that beforehand. So try and move bedtime a little bit earlier. It might just be she's had a busy day at nursery, and 7 o'clock's a little bit too late, causing her to be overtired. Is that everyone's questions? I think so. Give it one more minute. Yeah, so I'll talk to you about what I was just mentioning about the clocks going forward. So 28th of March, the clocks go forward. So parents go, what am I going to do about my child's sleep? So to be honest, you can kind of go two ways. You can just kind of go cold, just deal with it and go cold turkey, and just kind of move to the new times if your child's quite good at adapting. Or you can do something called split the difference. So the night before the clocks change, just so like change your clocks the night before to the new times. So when they wake in the morning, say they always wake at 6, it's gonna look like 7 o'clock to you, and you'll be like, yes, winning. Um, and then on the first 3 days, what I would do is move the naps. So let's say they usually have a 9:30 nap, just make it 10 o'clock. So just 30 minutes later. You're gonna have to. It might take their body a little bit if they're quite sensitive sleepers, a bit of time to adjust. So do that for a few days. So instead of a 9:30 nap, you do 10 o'clock. And do this for a few days, and then bedtime as well, 30 minutes later. So you move everything 30 minutes later for a few days, and then on the fourth day, move to the correct time. So you're just moving on another half an hour on the clock, and then that should kind of their body should be adjusted. So hopefully that helps as well for you guys when the clocks do go forward. Karma, she's woken 2 to 3 times for the past 6 months. So what I would do is first of all make sure that overtiredness, it's definitely not overtiredness, and kind of just eliminating that. So do an earlier bedtime as well, just to make sure that her body is adjusted, especially if you've taken away the nap altogether. They do often need a little bit of an earlier bedtime. And then with those wake ups, you need to consistently respond to her. So I don't know what you're doing when she does wake, so that she learns that actually when I wake, I just need to put myself back to sleep. So try and not take her into your bed if you're not wanting to do that. You're wanting her to learn to go back to sleep, and just settle her from the side of the cot until she goes back to sleep, and that should also help to eliminate those wake ups. Thank you. I did think about putting a blow up bed in our room for the 4 year to get the 2 year sitting room, and then put the 4 year at, but this will cause a relapse 4 year old. It depends on the 4 year old's personality. It's very hard to sort out the 2 year old's sleep if you can't kind of let him be awake for a while, because you've got your 4 year old. So it might be better getting the 4 year old out of the situation. And even if he relapses, is he better? Could you just quickly fix whatever you need to fix after with him? It really depends on the children, but I would say get your 2 year old sorted and then get him back into the room. Um, yeah, Karma, we hope dropping that would make her sleep better. It will, but you need to give it a chance, but also just try and eliminate overtiredness as well, because if there is overtiredness, that will also play a part, but also how you respond when those wake ups is key as well, as I said. Um, da, da. I'll answer one more. I've got time for one more. Elizabeth, my 8-month-old still not sleeping all night. He is crawling everywhere during his sleep and losing his dummy. Around 2 a.m. he's waking up, and I give him his bottle to settle, and from there he's okay. Is it a bad thing? What can I do to make it better? I am very tired. Okay, so he's crawling everywhere during his sleep. So does he know how at the beginning? First of all, when he goes to bed, does he put himself to sleep, or are you using the feed to get him to sleep, or does he know how to settle himself from the beginning? So what I would do is first work on bedtime. Does he know how to put himself to sleep? So that's something you first need to do, because if he can do that, then when he wakes up in the night, he won't expect whatever he had at the beginning of the night's sleep, and he'll just put him. Second thing, I would say introduce a comforter as well, so he can use that to settle himself. And then in terms of, unless there's a weight issue or that he needs a feed, I would try and stop giving him the feed if you don't think it's genuine hunger. to get him back to sleep. So use a settling approach to get him back to sleep so he learns to fall asleep without it. Otherwise, he's always going to wake up expecting that feed. It's like if you're presented a chocolate milkshake in the middle of the night, you're probably going to drink it. So try and not use that if you don't think it's genuine hunger, and try and settle him without the feed. And you're saying he's losing his dummy, so scatter a few. If you're going to keep the dummy, but scatter a few around the cot. Try and not put it back in his mouth form. He needs to start learning, practice in the day to start learning to put it back in himself. And also, or if it's the dummy that's causing the wake ups, you might want to consider getting rid of the dummy and introducing a comforter instead, because they can all easily find a comforter. Up to you. Those are the key things I would say you need to work on to improve his sleep, and just also making sure he's getting roughly around 3 hours sleep in the day, usually across 2 naps. Usually can be 3 naps. That third nap can be a cat nap in the afternoon if he can't make that afternoon the bridge between the last nap and bed. So hopefully those little bits of tips help you there. Okay, so he does settle himself, Elizabeth. So is it a scheduling issue? And then also trying to eliminate that bottle if it's not genuine hunger. If you don't believe it's genuine hunger, there's any weight issues, then try and settle himself. Try and teach him to settle himself in the wake ups in the night. Okay, that's all I've got time for, guys. Hope that was useful. So I will be on here not this next Thursday, but the following Thursday if you've got any other questions. And yeah, have a lovely afternoon, everyone.